Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to talk about a real command line superpower, something called Linux file globbing. Now, if you're building up your DevOps skills, this is one of those fundamental tools that will literally change the way you work, helping you manage tons of files way more efficiently.
So just imagine this for a second. You're looking at a directory, and it's just packed with log files, maybe hundreds of images or source code, and you need to do something, move, copy, delete, but only to a very specific group of them. How do you do that without typing out every single file name by hand? Well, the answer is a bit of magic that's built right into the shell.
All right, so let's pull back the curtain and see exactly what's going on here. We're about to see how the shell uses these special patterns to make your life so much easier.
At its heart, globbing, you might also hear it called path name expansion, is a really simple but powerful idea. When you type a command that has special characters like a little asterisk, the shell actually jumps in first. It takes that pattern and expands it into a full list of every single matching file name. And this is the key part, it does all of this before the command, like ls or rm, ever even sees it.
So here are the basic rules of the road for globbing. First, it only ever looks at file names. It never peeks inside the files to look at their content. And a really critical point, especially on Linux, is that it's case sensitive. So a capital F file and a lowercase f file are two totally different things to the shell. We're also going to look at that last point, language settings, because that can create a classic gotcha that trips up a lot of people.
All right, enough theory. Let's get our hands dirty. It's time to meet the three core wildcards that are the real foundation of all of this. First up, we've got the asterisk. This is the one you'll see everywhere. It's the workhorse of globbing, a super powerful catch-all that matches any string of characters. And that even includes matching no characters at all. So, if we pop open our terminal and we want to find every single file that starts with the word file, all we have to do is type ls file star. And boom, just like that, the shell sees the asterisk, expands it into a list of every file that matches, and then hands that list over to the ls command. It's clean, it's simple, and it is incredibly useful. Okay, let's move on to our next tool. Meet the question mark. Now, if the asterisk is a flexible catch-all, the question mark is a total perfectionist. It matches exactly one character, no more and no less. And that precision is its real strength. For example, if we type ls file2 question marks, what we're really asking the shell is, hey, find me all the files that start with file and are followed by precisely two other characters. And check out the difference here. Notice how file A and file 1 are gone now? That's because they only have one character after file. Only file 25 and file RR, with exactly two characters, made the cut. Our final core wildcard is the square brackets. This is where you get to be even more specific. This tells the shell to match a single character, but only if that character is on the specific list you provide inside the brackets.
So let's say we wanted to find only file 1 or file A and absolutely nothing else. We can build a really specific command for that. ls file and then, in brackets, shranchid1a. And the output is exactly what we wanted. The shell checks that single character right after file and only includes the names where it's either a 1 or an A. This kind of control is just fantastic, especially when you're dealing with complex file naming systems.
Okay, so now that you've got the basics down, let's level up a bit. We're going to explore two slightly more advanced topics that'll really sharpen your globbing skills: character ranges and a sneaky system setting called locale. Now, inside those square brackets, you don't actually have to type out every single character you want to match. You can use a hyphen to specify a range. So A-Z becomes a super handy shortcut for any lowercase letter, and 0-9 is for any single digit.
But here is a massive pitfall. This is something that trips up even experienced people. The meaning of a range like A to Z can actually change depending on your system's language setting, its locale. In some settings, it might unexpectedly match both lowercase and uppercase letters. This can cause a script that works perfectly on your machine to totally fail on a server.
So, to make sure you get predictable, consistent results every time, you can set your locale to C. This forces a strict, old-school sorting order, so AZ will only ever match the 26 lowercase letters, period. It's an absolute best practice for writing shell scripts that you know will behave the same way no matter where they're run.
All right, let's take a minute to clear up one of the most common points of confusion for people who are learning the command line. What in the world is the difference between this globbing stuff and those regular expressions you always hear about? Here's the simplest way to think about it. Globbing is for matching file names in the shell. Regular expressions, or regex, are for finding patterns inside the text of a file using tools like grep. So you'd use globbing to find all your .log files, but you'd use regex to find every time the word error appears inside all of those files. They're both for matching patterns, just in different places.
So we've seen how powerful globbing is, right? But with great power comes great responsibility. Let's talk about the single most important thing you need to know to use all of this safely.
And I am absolutely not exaggerating here. The asterisk is an amazing tool, but when you combine it with the destructive command like rm, a simple typo can be catastrophic. The shell will happily expand that asterisk to match every single file in your directory, and then pass them all to be deleted.
This brings us to the safety check, a habit that every command line pro lives by. Before you ever run a dangerous command, you preview it. First, use echo. The shell still expands your glob pattern, but echo just prints the full command to your screen without actually running it. You can also use ls with the same pattern to see a nice, clean list of what would be affected. Only when you are 100% sure that list is correct do you actually run the real command.
And that right there is our key takeaway. This is the golden rule of globbing. Always, always, always preview your patterns with a safe command like echo or ls before you commit to an action like removing, moving, or copying files. Make this an unbreakable habit, and you will be well on your way to working safely and just ridiculously efficiently on the command line.